Well, hello everyone, and welcome, and thanks for being here. Now, before I start, I just want to say that that is the video that I am most proud of. It was 10 years ago in April, actually, April 1911, 2011. And it was the very first video I had ever made. Not just the first one for Maddie. I'd done one, or I tried to do one just with cartoons, pictures, no sound. But that was the very first one. And I got a little bit of direction from Joanna Moray, and I'm so proud of it. It's not the best video, obviously, but it's the one I'm most proud of because it was my very first. So anyway, welcome everyone. And hi, Shirley. Thank you for being here.
Hello.
So,
hello, everyone.
Yes, and it's so sad that we had to postpone Jeff. He called at the very last, well, not the very last minute, just a couple of hours ago, and apologized profusely and said that he had something big crop up and he had to get there. And we knew that there was always a possibility he'd be called away, but he said he'd be here next week. So hopefully we'll see him next week. And I'll tell you, as I was preparing some of the stuff, his dog is called Zoey. And this is Jeff and Zoey. And she is, let me find here. I mean, what a gorgeous picture.
Yeah.
But this is the one I just love. I just love this picture. Look at her. She's got a little camera on. Yeah, it's so cute, eh? And yeah, such a beautiful dog. Apparently he's had her since she was 10 weeks old, and she's now 3. And she's done all the training and into forensics. And, well, I was going to leave him to tell you the details, but he can tell you that next week. And they go out. Now Jeff does 2 things. He is with a ski resort to help find people and whatever, I guess, and explosives. And also, he does a lot of his work is volunteer. What he does is volunteers all over the States, and it's incredible that it works out that very often he's out of pocket. That absolutely amazed me. I can't remember the details, but he told me that one gave him the money for the gas. I mean, it's just incredible. So I was really looking forward to having him on. And we weren't going to particularly talk about Maddie because he's not familiar with the case. And he's certainly, out of respect of Martin Grime, the professional dog handler in the Maddie case, he didn't want to question or answer questions about what Martin found. But of course, there's other issues which are general, about cadaver odor and everything else, which of course he can discuss. So I'm really looking forward to next week. I hope you are too. And who knows, we might get to see a bit more of, look at her. We might get to see a bit more of Zoey.
Oh, that cracks me up.
Yeah, I know. And so anyway, I do hope you'll join us. Jeff and Zoey are special. They search. There was actually a case he was involved in Zion Park, I think. There was a lady disappeared for 12 days on her own. And I don't think he actually found her, but he was certainly, as you can see from this picture, involved in the search. And they did find her safe after 12 days with no food or anything. She didn't even take her phone with her. But anyway, So that's where we'll be next week. So I do apologize. I mean, Jeff sent his apologies to you. He felt really bad.
Well,
But
selfishly, I'm not bothered by it because I have to leave early today, and I was like, man, out of all the days that I can't be here all day, so I think fate stepped in. I'm kind of liking, unfortunately, that he's postponed, but like I said, selfishly and personally, I'm okay with it.
oh dear, that's good. So so you're going to have to leave. So I don't have a little person doing the comments, so we're going to play it by ear. Whether you can read some out to me, or whether I can, for one time alone, actually see the comments myself, I will try and do that as well. So we're going to try and get through that. So again, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for Chris and Kim for the inspiration for me doing these lives and thinking of you. So and thanks mods for what you're doing. I just adore the fact that you're there. I don't even have to ask you. Maybe, golly, I'm too scared to think if I didn't ask whether they do it. But no, I appreciate everybody. So,
well, we've already got one question that was asked earlier that I made a note of. If you want me to throw it at you now, or you have more stuff you need to say.
No, I think you've heard enough of me.
Okay, I don't know how to say this person's name. Anantha Piana. She said, my question is, those of you who think Jerry is Smithman carrying a dead Maddie, where do you think he hid her body, and how wasn't it found in the searches?
Here again, we have the issue of Smithman, which for me, just me, nobody else has to go along with it. I just don't believe that he would be carrying a dead body around without a blanket in a road that leads down to the beach. But let's just think if that is the case. The question is, where would he put it? Is that what? And why wasn't it found? Well, apparently down by the beach, there are so many chasms and things like that, where I guess there are many possibilities of where she could have been hidden temporarily. How they would get to her after, I really don't know. But that is something that I don't know. I think it's just a matter of somebody who actually believes it happened may have the answer, or may have an answer, but I'm afraid I don't have an answer on that. So I'm really sorry about that. So
okay, so Emily,
okay, yes, I found it. Anath piana, another piano. Is that what it's meant to be?
Yeah. So I have a question from Emily. Hi, Emily. Question for Lizzie. Why do you think the McCanns haven't over proof of over proof of theming S made in the daycare as proof of Maddie being alive? I'm not really sure what she's saying there.
I think I caught sight of, I'm just looking for it now because I'm focusing on. Oh, okay. Yes, I found it. Why didn't they have proof of? She's put themings, but I think she means the things that were made at the creche.
Right. Yeah. Because she did mention that earlier in the chat. Yes.
Yeah, as proof of what what can be shown. Well, Maddie was in the creche. As you know, I don't believe she was in the creche at all, and that's why I don't think there's anything there for us to see. Otherwise, I think we would see lots of little things on another live, which I might be able to get to, but I don't think I can right now. The pictures. I show that they were doing footprints and monster things and making lots of little things. And yes, why were these not shown? And I feel absolutely sure that if that was the case and she did do some of those things, we would have seen them. I don't think there's any question on that. I think they would have been holding on to them as a memento. There's nothing to hide from the public about. They would have had those little things as a memento of what her last little crafts were. But, I mean, if she wasn't there, she couldn't have done them. So they wouldn't have anything to hold on to. So that's my thoughts on that one, Emily. I hope you agree on that. But, I mean, this is the thing. For me personally, as so many of you know, I do believe because of the discrepancies that started on the Tuesday morning, these are discrepancies that I discovered from comparing everybody's statements. And it showed these weren't just memory issues. These were literal discrepancies. One says one says the other. They both should have said the same thing. And all of this started happening on the Tuesday morning. So for me, that tells me there was something to hide. Something like a holiday, you might have a few memory issues, but you don't have contradictions outright. And so many, I think I have about 50 different contradictions that I've come across. That doesn't happen on a normal holiday. So if that started on the Tuesday morning, and the fact, as I've pointed out in previous videos, that I can only find proof of her being seen on the Sunday afternoon. After that, I found absolutely no proof. Doesn't mean she wasn't there, but it doesn't mean she was.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I could be wrong, but where is the proof that she was there? There isn't any. So if that's the case, then am I still answering Emily's question?
I think so. You are.
I'm sorry. I get so carried away and go off on tangents.
No, that's what people want to hear. They want to hear your impression of it.
Yeah, and because I don't believe she was there during the week, I don't know if she was alive or something, but something happened I believe prior to Tuesday morning when the discrepancies started, and something happened, and I don't believe she was there. And as I explained, I think in a week or two ago, it looked to me to explain the reason she wasn't at the crash and they got away with it is because when I scrutinized the crash records, it shows that Jerry and Kate and Russell O'Brien both arrived and left the kids club where Maddie was at approximately the same time. And through a couple of things which kind of proved it to me, it appeared to me that it looks very much like, because Russell O'Brien's daughter, Jane Tanner's daughter, was only 3 months different to Maddie. She had the same color hair. It would have been easy to mistake her. I don't believe it was a substitute as such, but I believe that Russell and Jerry, regardless of what they were doing at any other time, they seemed to both appear at the crash at the same time, which is odd anyway. And I think Russell sent in his daughter, Jerry followed, and all the nannies from then on just kind of presumed, when they say, yeah, I saw Jerry and his daughter, they just presumed it was his daughter because she looked so similar. And so
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you carry on.
Well, I was just going to say that on that same train of thought kind of leads into two questions from Devil's Advocate. Is there a record of Madeline being signed into the creche during the week but not being signed out? And then the other part is why do the inconsistencies in the McCanns and their friends' statements seem to start on or after the first Tuesday?
Well, the first question, remind me of the second part.
Okay.
The thing with the registration. Now, first of all, you've got to take into account this isn't like a strict nursery or school setting. This is basically a daycare, just nannies, a babysitting service, so to speak. So they could register their child in and out. Now, everybody came in at sporadic times. They could register them in at 9:30. Oh, sorry, 10:30. It wasn't open until 10, I don't think. And then pick them up at 11:30. Or they might just drop them off at 11:30 and they might be on one of their little out in the play area, or they might be down the beach. There wasn't any strict rules. The crash records were signed. And when you say, was she signed in but not signed out? Well, yes. And that's the point behind what I discovered in 2008. I saw it as very odd that when Jerry and Russell O'Brien arrived at the same time, Jerry would sign his daughter in, and Russell didn't. But at the end of the day, Russell signed his daughter out, but Jerry didn't. It's like a one child in and one child out. And that happened on the Tuesday. Well, apparently Jerry and Russell both walked to the crash together. So why didn't they both sign together? It's not a strict signature. Maybe it was outside the room. They just had to sign and then bring the child in or send the child in. And also, BBC Whistleblower had a program about crashes, and it just so happened 2 weeks before, checking on the Mark Warner crash in, sorry, I keep forgetting, it wasn't Greece, but one of the other resorts, and showed how they were lacking any training, and being that it was Catriona's, I think it was her second week. And none of this, I blame whatever on the nannies. I believe that the nannies really did their best. But were they trained? Did they really know where every child was at every time? Did they really know all their names? I doubt it. Because even in a regular nursery, and I've spoken to one myself, the owner said that she still has, after quite, a couple of months, she still had to check that every child was going to the right parent. She couldn't rely on her staff to know exactly the names for sure. So that told me right there that in the case of children being there just for 4 days, 5 days, that there wouldn't be any real checking. And the BBC Whistleblower program was really quite interesting. I've got the video of some of it, and also some of the statements that the journalist made about how a child would go missing and nobody knew where she was or why. So there's that. Now, the second part, which I thought I'd remember, but I think I need to refer to you again.
Okay. So the second part is, why do the inconsistencies in the McCanns and their friends statement seem to start on or after the first Tuesday?
Well, that's my point, is when you ask yourself why, the inconsistencies to me and contradictions would be only, I can't think of another reason, something being they're trying to hide. And what would they be trying to hide on from a Tuesday morning? There's
Right.
there's not much information about the Monday, very little information about the Monday. Everybody was keeping quiet. Now that might just be a coincidence, but everybody was keeping quiet on the Monday. And all of a sudden on the Tuesday morning, I saw those discrepancies start from the very first moment in the morning. And to me, that tells me something was happening. Now, for those, and I do understand that some people don't believe anything happened during the week. That is totally good that people don't just blindly. I never want anybody to just blindly believe me. I'm hoping that you hear what I've got to say, put it together. Does it make sense to you? That's good if it does. If it doesn't, that's also good, because you're thinking for yourself, and that's what's important. But the idea that it started Tuesday morning means that something was happening. And if, for those of you who don't believe anything happened, I just want to ask a question. Why do you think that on the Wednesday morning, Jerry was getting, there's 14, I think it was 14 texts that started coming in on Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, just before the following year, in 2008, when they were releasing the files, the prosecutor went to what they called Supreme Court to try and get information on those texts a month before it was filed. They were desperate to get that before they filed the case, not close the case, but why did they do that? Why was it so important? Why were those texts so important? That was Wednesday morning. So you have to ask yourself, if this was a regular holiday, then surely anything that they did on the Wednesday morning within those texts would be irrelevant. That's one of the big deals. The other one is, as I showed you, that Gonzalo Amaral was removed on October the 2nd on his birthday. Paulo Rebello came in, took over. So there was a further investigation right through till July, when the case was shelved. And that's a much longer time of an investigation. But we have no idea whatsoever what they found in that. I think it was about 9 months. No idea. So we can't just look at up to October the 2nd as being what it's all about. There's so many things. There was Hernani Cavallo. I don't know if that's how you call him. He was, let's say, a friend of Gonzalo Amaral. I don't know if they were friends, but they certainly did a lot of interviews together. He claimed a while after that what they presumed as being the last time they saw anybody saw Madeleine at 5:30 on the Thursday afternoon is now questioned. So you have to ask why. You know, was there something that changed that? We don't know. We don't know. All I can go is on facts. When I say facts that I find from the files and from quotes that are believable, as I believe Hernani Cavallo's article was. So whether she was there all the week and it happened that something happened that night is one thing. I certainly believe that something happened before Tuesday and they spent the rest of the week trying to cover it up. There's so many discrepancies. It's unbelievable. So, okay. So I think that's that one done. Have I covered that?
Yes, you have. Okay, so let's see.
Oh, can I just answer one I saw very early before we started, I think?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I was like, why are you asking me?
I see.
Your live?
I've still got the doggy up. I'm so carried away here. I'd forgotten what I'd got on, and I've changed the comments, and now I just want to go back and remove the. Okay, now we're back. So, yeah, I saw somebody ask something about the children being bathed. I can't remember the specific question, but it was about why were the men bathing the children? which apparently, as per Gonzalo Amaral, is what happened. It brings us to the Gaspar statements from the year before in Mallorca, where the Gaspars saw Jerry McCann and David Payne making sexual gestures relating to Maddie. And also at that point, apparently the men were bathing the children, and they pulled out of it and they wouldn't let anybody else bath the children, which to me, I wouldn't anyway. But anyway, that's the way it goes. So if there was any of that going on, we don't know for sure. But what I do know is that Rachel claimed that she was bathing Russell and Jane Tanner's daughter one evening. Now that stuck out to me because, I mean, it doesn't sound overly odd, but when we're told that they weren't looked after by anybody, they were all left in separate apartments, that was kind of a red flag to say to me, hang on, what was Russell and Jane's daughter doing in the Oldfields apartment in the evening? Unless it was because somebody was they were in charge of looking after her and maybe others. You know, there was more going on. I absolutely, without question, believe that we probably know about 5% of what happened that week. You know, you can read every file and I still feel that we know so little. But, you know, I've put the statements together and that's what I work on, what their statements say in comparison to each other. And for the most part, I finished, but I don't know. I think there's still some rugatory statements that I didn't get through because there was so huge and so many timelines that I never did manage to finish. So there's so much more than even I found. So bathing the children is questionable, but also why would a child be bathed in another apartment if there was no other issue involved, whether it be babysitting or whether it be questionable? That's what I've asked when I saw that statement. You know, and there's lots of little comments like this that I've picked up on, which in general, somebody just reading would just gloss past it. But for me, that was an important comment. So let me see if I can see a question. Or do you have another one there, Shirley?
I do. So JD's asked 2 questions. I'll just grab one. Okay, so who was on the paperwork on the hire car the time Maddie disappeared? Was it hired by one of the McCann party or someone else that we don't know about to get her DNA from the car?
Well, the hire car wasn't rented until about 3 weeks afterwards. It was, by this time, Jerry's brother-in-law, Cameron, that's his sister's husband, he, I think, was on the lease. I'm not sure if it's not absolutely certain. I'm not sure that Kate was on it. I may be wrong on that. But that wasn't hired until 3 weeks after. Now, just because it wasn't hired until 3 weeks after doesn't mean that if Maddie's forensics appeared in the car, doesn't mean that was 3 weeks after. They had the car right through until the end of July. And it's very possible that those, the blood and the fluid that they found was from a couple of months later. So now what was interesting, and this is actually how I got involved with speaking to one of the detectives, is a friend of mine lived in, I think he lived in Faro anyway, close to there. And it was an expats forum. So we weren't really dealing with Maddie, but he said to me that his wife was at a painting class. And this painter that was there, that was teaching them, was quite well known in the area. And he said that his wife overheard her say that she or somebody she knew had loaned a car to the McCanns. Now, that was just in passing. He happened to say that. There was nothing meant behind it. But what I tried to ask him, which he didn't reply to me on, because I haven't had a lot to do with him, was whether or not that was during their holiday, or before they had the hire car, or after, because it would make a difference. If it was during the holiday, it would certainly make a difference, because we'd know that they had a car. And we know that the police really asked everybody, did you see the McCanns in a car? If it was after Madeline went missing, but before they hired the car, again, that would be interesting to know. Because we certainly weren't told they had access to a car. Although I do know that Russell O'Brien went up to, and here I'm forgetting the name. It begins with A, further north on the Monday, which on the 5th, on the Monday, which was very curious as to why he went up there on the 5th. But apart from that, that was the reason I contacted the Operation Grange, and they were really interested, and they got back to me and wanted to see all of my interaction with my friend, which I sent to them, and they decided it was worthwhile checking on. And he told me that because he'd okayed it, it was going into the system. So, and this is the start of why I believe that there's something about Operation Grange that is for real, because I had several discussions with him later, and a couple of the other Operation Grange detectives, and they were so good and so interested and asking me for stuff. They wanted to know this, they wanted to know that, and I think either something changed, or the higher echelons took over and scrubbed out everything they let. I don't know, but I definitely had faith in them because of the way they were treating me and the way they were talking to me. The detective I was in contact with was so helpful, absolutely helpful, and gave me lots of information, not information about the case, of course, but lots of help. So I've always thought that something was right with them at one time. Whether it is now, I don't know. And nobody else believes them. Now, the only other thing that I've thought of, because we know that they didn't want to deal with the McCanns as such, the remit was not to deal with the McCanns. But then I wonder, is that because they don't have any jurisdiction over the McCanns' involvement in what happened? It's all Portuguese police. And their jurisdiction is to find out about maybe the fund, which the Portuguese police have nothing that they can do about the fund. It has to be the British police. So I always have these questions in mind. But what is great is I think the week after next, we've got Tony Bennett coming back. And this time he's going to discuss Operation Grange. Now, Tony and I both disagree on what we think, the same as, with Pat. Pat absolutely is the professional, and I totally agree with what she says, and I go along with what I believe. It's hard to explain, but we can all have different thoughts and opinions. But anyway, Tony is going to be with us, and he's going to answer your questions and give you lots of information. I think he's working on some other stuff about the cover-up and things like that. So really looking forward to that in a couple of weeks. So we've got hopefully Jeff next week, and then Tony in 2 weeks, and Peter Mack, who is a great researcher and actually is in contact with Gonzalo Amaral. he's going to be with us in a few weeks. So hopefully you won't have to put up with so much of me. But yeah, so I have that thought towards Operation Grange. And once again, where did we get to on the question, Shirley? Thank goodness you're here. You've got to go shortly, right?
I can stay till about 1:45. My appointment isn't till 2:50, so yeah, no, I can probably stay for another half an hour, 45 minutes.
Okay, well, we don't want to go on for too long today, not with just me. So
well, we do have a couple other questions.
Yeah, I wasn't going to stop right now.
Okay.
I meant in the long run, I didn't need to look at 4 hours or anything.
Right. Okay. I apologize. I don't know how to say this person's name. Dahaya Maharaj. Is there any pics of Jerry with the blue tennis bag while on holiday? I can't find any.
There was one that looked as though he had it, and it's walking away from the apartment. It's taken from a video. I do have it, but he's walking away at the back of the apartments. That was after everything had happened, when the tape was still around. Now, that very probably is the tennis bag or the bag that was in the wardrobe when the forensics took the photos. Now, there is another thing to keep in mind, is when the police were questioning everybody, one of the big questions was, did you see the McCanns with a tennis bag? Now, that's why it's so important, obviously, because it was important to the police. And every one of them claimed no. But there is, I know that on one interview with Gonzalo Amaral and Hernani Cavallo, they showed Jerry with a golf bag. I don't think it was that one. I don't know, but I think that was the production team there put on a wrong picture. I'm not sure about that. But yes, I think there was a bag, but it disappeared. But also, there was also a pink blanket on the bed, and that disappeared. And then I asked, okay, so the cuddle cat was supposed to be Maddie's special toy, but why would the McCanns bring her pink blanket for her if that wasn't special to her as well? And that disappeared. So if you do take the fact that the blue bag and the pink blanket both disappeared after Madeline had disappeared, I'm afraid it, rightly or wrongly, my thoughts go to the possibility that this is part of where Maddie was when they laid her to rest, wherever they did. I'm sorry. It's just it's just bothersome to think that this little girl, she deserves to be laid to rest with dignity, and for her family to grieve, and for the world to grieve. And they have put a stop to that. They're not allowing that to happen for their own selfish reasons. And that really bothers me, as you know. And that's, as I've said before, I don't care what happens to the McCanns. I'm not out to lynch them and suggest they should go to jail or whoever. I don't care. All I care about is Maddie. Maddie's body is found and she's laid to rest in peace. So I don't know where they put her, but I do hope it's got... I can't say anymore. Okay. So that's all I know about the blue bag.
Okay, so Devil's Advocate asks, why is the timing of the abduction disputed by some witnesses who said they heard one or more of the parents calling out Maddie's name before Kate was supposed to have discovered her missing?
Yeah, again, that was on the Tuesday night that Mrs. Fenn supposedly heard that. Now, if you look at the context of that night, it was supposedly quiz night at the tapas bar. The quiz mistress was there from 9 o'clock and doing the quiz until 9:30, and then she supposedly went and sat at the table until 9:50. Now, she said it looked like there was a place laid, but nobody was there. Somebody was missing. She said she doesn't remember seeing Kate there, and she doesn't remember seeing David Payne there. So if that's the case, again, you can't rely exactly on everything, but if that's the case, apparently at 10:15 until 10:30, wherever Kate was, she received a flurry of phone calls. I think 10:17 to 10:29 or something like that. There was about 5 phone calls. And Mrs. Fenn claimed that she heard the crying from 10:30 to 11:45 for an hour and a quarter. So I don't know where Kate was. They suggest she was at the apartment. We don't know. If Mrs. Fenn heard the child that she heard, and she said it wasn't a baby, but there were other toddlers there. It could have been any of them, if you really think about it, depending on if they were in the apartment and being looked after something had happened to Maddie. Anyway, she heard basically a toddler crying, "Daddy, daddy, daddy." Some people think maybe it was Kate calling Maddie with a young voice, high voice, whatever. I say that we don't know for sure that was Maddie that was there, or maybe that was when something happened to her. Maybe something happened prior to the Tuesday morning. But if this was the Tuesday night, I always say I don't know when she died. Just because something happened maybe on the Monday, if I'm correct, we don't know that she died at that moment. And maybe she was in the apartment, and maybe at that point it was when she died. I don't know. But what we do know is that Mrs. Fenn claimed that she heard the patio doors at 11:45, and immediately the crying stopped. Now, hearing patio doors, she's above 2 apartments. She's above the Old Phil's apartment as well. So it could have been from them. It could have been the McCann's apartment doors closing. Was that somebody going in, or was it somebody coming out? All of these questions, we don't know. But I just thought I'd put a bit of context into the timing of that crying. Also, I will just add something else that Mrs. Fenn had told the hairdresser, which again is call it gossip, call it a possibility, I don't know. But she did claim that the McCanns were at Chaplin's, the other bar, that night, which they could have gone to after 10. I don't know. I mean, all of this, all I can say is this is what we're told is possible. Whether it's true, how it fits in, how we put it all together, we can't be sure. I can only tell you what I know from what is in the files, not from my guess. My guess is really just a conclusion of what the files tells us. Doesn't make it a fact, but the actual things, details were there.
Okay. Denise Skinner asked Lizzie another question I mentioned in chat earlier. I'm sure in my mind there was a pic of Kate, Jerry, and the twins with bucket, spade, and a suitcase going to the beach. Do you recall that?
No, I don't recall that, because we haven't actually seen too many pictures taken during the holiday. Certainly not all of them. We haven't seen any from Kate's camera. And this is something which when Peter Mack's on, he'll really be able to explain to you is that Jerry claims that he gave all his pictures to the PJ, but what he did was give them the CD, I believe. So it might not have been all the pictures from the holiday. Kate, apparently, while Jerry was saying, that's it, that's all I've got, she's downstairs looking at her photos, which never did get to the PJ. And her photos included the last picture. The PJ didn't get that from her camera because she didn't hand over her camera. And that last picture only appeared 3 weeks after Maddie disappeared and after Jerry McCann had been back to England to pick up the pillowcase for the DNA. And suddenly this photo appeared. Now, most people, we've had thousands and thousands of threads about photoshopping. I've never believed the photoshopping because I believe that it was taken on the Sunday, probably taken on the Sunday, and also the EXIF data was changed. I mean, that's so simple to do that photoshopping doesn't come into it. And Peter Mack has so much information about all of this, and that's what he's going to focus on when he comes on with us, when he of course, everybody's busy, so we have to kind of work in with times. But I think he'll probably be in the next couple or so weeks anyway. So I can't wait for that one because Peter Mack has done so much research, high detail research. He's got an ebook, which I'm not sure if Carrie has the link to. If she hasn't, it's because I haven't given it to her, which is my fault. So, but yeah, I mean, don't miss Peter Mack. Well, don't miss Tony. That's going to be good. And certainly don't miss Jeff next week. So, okay. So hopefully I've answered that question. Oh, no, I didn't. The bucket and spade. Going to the beach. No, there are black and white pictures. When I say black and white, what they've done is really just put the pictures on, but copied them with that effect. I don't know what it's called, where they just do it it's like black blobs and you can barely make out what the pictures are. They have the real pictures, of course. I don't recall any of Jerry and Kate going to the beach, but there is a bucket and spade picture where the bucket and spade are outside the apartment door. I have seen that, but certainly nothing with them going to the beach with a bucket and spade. So I hope I've answered that.
Yeah, you did. So there's another question, and I think you've touched on this, or okay, I don't know where I think we talked about this before. So this is from JD. Why did Kate sign out as, and then she corrected it. She says, I mean, Kate signed out as Healy on the 4th. Why did she sign out as Kate McCann all week? And on the 4th of May, and what happened to the holiday pics, I talked about that, and all of the Tapas 9 and kids was Maddie in the pictures of any more Maddie alive? I think so. First off, why did she sign out as Kate McCann all week except for on that day where she signed out as Kate Healy?
Well, there again, I don't know whether actually any of the registrations have been faked or falsified as far as signatures go. Regardless, in my opinion, there was questions about it. If she signed out, I guess maybe she had a moment where she just decided, Haley, it might be as simple as that. I really can't answer that. You mentioned about the pictures. As I was just saying, there are a lot of black and white pictures. And as far as Maddie goes, yes, we do have a certain amount of pictures where she was seen during the holiday. But there is a tennis picture where Maddie's holding the tennis balls. Now, that is highly unlikely that that was taken when they claim that she was playing tennis, because that morning, if you look at the picture, and this is something which I studied, if you look at the picture, you can see where the tennis court was wet, and it's drying. It's got it looks like I did a comparison picture on my driveway where you can see how it looks when a driveway is wet, and as it starts to dry, you can see that look. Well, that's on the tennis picture if you look very closely. Now, if that's the case, and that tennis court was wet, then not only would the kids not be playing on a wet court, but also the court was cleaned on the Monday, I think, the Monday lunchtime. So if that, but I mean, I don't know if it was cleaned another day as well, but it was cleaned on the Monday lunchtime. And when I saw that, it gave me shivers, because I thought, okay, is this really the last picture of Maddie? You know, I don't know. But yeah, there's the tennis picture. Then there's the other pictures of her at the playground. Now, if you look, a lot of them have similar, particularly Sean. He's wearing the same outfit he wore on the plane. Jerry McCann also has similar. Madeline is wearing a similar top and a changed trousers. I mean, but you know, especially with Sean with a kind of a woolly sweater, this doesn't look like it's, and which he was wearing on the plane. This doesn't look like it's holiday outfit. You know, it looks like they came in that, and they're on the swings, and well, there wasn't swings, but they're on the playground. And that was when the picture was taken. I'm not the only one who thinks that picture was taken on a Saturday. So there we can see pictures of Maddie there. When it comes to all the other black and white pictures, which are hard to make out who's who, they were taken with the Payne's camera, and I'm not sure who else, but I don't believe there's any Maddie pictures apart from those ones taken at the rec area, which was very likely on the Saturday. I just can't see them every morning dressing Sean, or evening dressing Sean up with the woolly jumper that he wore when he arrived. You know, not when everybody else is in t-shirts and everything. So it's my thoughts on that. And also Peter Mack will have his thoughts as well. So look forward to that. So have we got any more? I'm trying to have a look myself here, because
sorry, I was talking, but I was on mute, so that doesn't help, does it?
no, I've done that.
Okay, so
before you say anything, can I just ask, when I'm asked these questions and I go off on tangents and start adding stuff, does that just confuse everybody, or does it help to get the context? I'm not sure. If I feel that they just want a straight answer, then maybe that's what I should try and do. I'm not sure. So do help me here.
Well, I will let the chat respond, but honestly, it does help, because a lot of times I'll have the questions lined up, but in process of answering one question, you actually answer three of them, kind of, in a way. So, I mean, I think it's fine, but we'll let the chat.
Yeah.
But until then,
I'm just looking at one. Daya Maharaj. Can't they go back to the plane records to find out if there was a blue tennis bag? Well, yes. I suspect they probably could. But there they whether they did or not, they still questioned everybody, the same as they questioned everybody. Did you see the McCanns in a car during the holiday? That again tells me, if what I believe is a possibility, that something happened to Maddie earlier and they arranged and transported her body away from the Ocean Club before Thursday, then yes, they'd need a car for that. And is that why the police are asking? You know, we know nothing about what the police are dealing with. We really don't. They're not going to tell us exactly where they are or what they think or what they've checked. We just know what's in the files, and that's it. And also the Regrettably interviews, which were huge. I mean, they were ginormous, great lengths. They didn't. The Portuguese police did not get them until a month before it was shelved. So they couldn't have taken all those Regrettably statements and analyzed them and which is what I did. They couldn't have done that because if it was going to be shelved in July, I'm sure a lot of the stuff stopped a long time before that for them to be able to do the final report. So probably those Regrettably statements did not get analysed and scrutinised, certainly not before we received the files. They might have done so afterwards, and I would presume they would, but not before we received the files. So that's where we might have differences of opinions, because a lot of what I took for the discrepancies, I mean, I do a lot with just the early statements, but there was a heck of a lot of discrepancies, and not memory discrepancies. I'm not talking about that. Definite discrepancies taken from the Regrettably files, which were not used in the final report. So, and I think, now I can't be sure, but Duarte Levy, I think, was the one that helped us get those Regrettably files, as well as the police cadaver dog video. I can't be sure, but I think so. Rest in peace, Duarte, and thanks for all you did.
Okay, Emily asked a question about why do you think that the police didn't confiscate the cameras?
Well, they did. I don't know why they didn't confiscate them, but they certainly, and again, Peter Mack can answer questions on this much better than I can. But as far as I know, is that Jerry was asked for the camera, and he, from what I recall, gave them a CD of what was on it. Yes, I mean, sure, we all believe that. Kate's camera, I don't believe was taken, and the reason we know it's Kate's camera is because it was on the table that night. In the forensic pictures, you can see a picture of the Canon camera that was Kate's, along with on the last picture when it was released with the EXIF data, it shows that it was the Canon camera that last picture was taken from. So, and the dates and that will probably changed, but so, and I think the conclusion, because when Jerry was with the police claiming, yes, I've given you everything, I think we've got the statement there, Kate was apparently downstairs and she was checking through her camera, which wasn't given to the police. He gave everything, but she didn't. So I don't know, there's so much. So, oh, salty bitch, no one goes off on a tangent like I do, so you're perfect. No, I do. I tend to go off, and it's hard. It's so hard. And I know that you and little Salty are looking to get the very basics. You've come into this, you know, midway or whenever, and trying to make sense of it. And it's so hard for me to get an idea of where you all are in this and what I should be saying as opposed to what I do say. So I don't know. I hope that I'm helping in some way. Okay, there's one. Peter James Cullen. If the Bell Pottingers story is true, then isn't that a massive coincidence? What do you know about that, Lizzie? I'm not sure what you mean by the massive coincidence that they were there at the time that Maddie went missing, because, and I'm sorry, because I've told you before, because I focus on the timelines, there's a lot of the other stuff that I know, but I'm not in detail, and I've certainly forgotten his name. The chap that was there in place, maybe somebody could remind me. He was the one who helped the McCanns initially. He was kind of the initial PR person, so to speak. And from what I understand, it was in place prior to something happening to Maddie. But the thing is, as I mentioned earlier, they may have been there for another reason. And that reason may be because of the whistleblower, BBC whistleblower program that went out 2 weeks prior about how, about the Ocean Club and the crash and everything like that. So maybe, I don't know. I really cannot say. There might be things, other things. But is that a possibility that once Mark Warner discovered that this BBC whistleblower program was shown, that maybe there was some things that needed to be put into place to cover it and to do damage control? And was that the reason they were there? I don't know, but it was a coincidence. Oh no, I remember that chap. He didn't fly out till, I think, the Saturday morning. I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. Did his name begin with V or something? But anyway, I'm afraid, Peter, that's all I can tell you, because I really didn't focus on a lot of that stuff. Just, stuff that I knew. So,
okay.
But it's nearly time for you to leave, right, Shirley?
Pretty soon. Yeah. But I got a question from Salty. She says, of course you're helping. I'd like to know, what was the first thing that you heard, read, or saw that made you think that the parents may have been involved?
I can tell you exactly. And I wish I had it with me. It's back in, we didn't hear about the Maddie case here initially in Canada. Not very much. And I certainly didn't know it in the first days anyway. So as I'd mentioned about the expats forum that I had, there was some talk about it. And I have the actual post. Of course, I save everything, right? I have the actual post that I put from somebody who was trying to tell me about the case. I didn't have the use of a video on my computer at that time, so I couldn't look at any videos. And this message, which I'll find and show you later, because it always tickles me when I see it, I'm saying that, well, I don't know. Was there tears in Kate's eyes when they were outside the apartment begging or, talking about it? Was there tears in her eyes? Because if not, then I certainly question it. And I need to check in, and I can't make any decisions until I have looked in more detail. And here I am 14 years later. That sentence is why I'm here, is because I checked it out and I never stopped. And I'm still here 14 years later. So that kind of makes me laugh when I see, I saved that message, and that's the reason I'm here. And yes, I did question just the fact that there was no tears in her eyes when she was making the plea. And I think probably around that time is when, shortly after Susan Smith episode, where she was the one who put her two little boys in a car and put them in a lake, and then was claiming it was an abductor, and there was no tears in her eyes, and she was ultimately guilty. So yeah, I hadn't even heard them speak. I hadn't seen a video. I didn't know anything like that. When I found out that there was no tears, that was it for me. I'm sorry, but a mother who's lost her children, we all grieve in different ways, but doing a plea like she did, and it's actually it was actually very similar. I think I did a comparison, one with Susan Smith and Kate, and they were both so similar. No tears, sorry. You can grieve in any way you want, but if you've not got any tears when your child is missing, something. Not proof, but something.
Yeah, like you said, everybody grieves differently, but there's still some basicness, with grief. And usually, especially, this isn't even grief, actually. This is, to me, it's more distraught. Your child is missing. There's some basic things that you would kind of expect from most people.
Well, in reality, and this is something I think it's difficult for people to get their head around. There is not just, was she abducted or were they complicit? Did they hide her body and do the abduction? It's not just that to look for in their body language and everything else. It is also that apparently, according to the police files, Maddie died. So they've got that they're dealing with, the fact that she did die. That is not a comparison to be an abduction. So you can see where when people say, well, she was so upset and everything. Well, yeah, she would have been upset about her death. But
right.
If it happened earlier, I think she was able to, and as I say, I think it happened earlier in the week. So she wasn't seen necessarily. She wasn't proven to be seen at the tapas bar on the Tuesday, the Wednesday, and finally on the Thursday she was there. But here, this brings me to one other curiosity that I have, and that is that the police also asked everybody, were the sorry, I've forgotten their names, the sisters. There was two sisters. Were they at your the Irving sisters, Owens? Were they at your table? Now, why would they ask that about these two sisters? And everybody answered no. And I kept thinking, oh, hi, Catalina. Nice to see you. I kept thinking, why would they ask that? And then I thought, okay, the waiters are saying, well, yes, there were 9 people at the table. And I thought, I wonder if those sisters were invited to the table to make up for when maybe Kate and Jane were missing, because I don't believe on the Wednesday night, Jerry went to the tapas with just Russell, and Stephen Carpenter or Jez Wilkins, I can't remember, asked where Kate was, and he said, oh, just putting the children to bed. Well, was she doing that, or was Jane with her and they were grieving? Because nobody ever saw her that night either. So it's just these little comments that I'm putting together from, and I mean, when Stephen Carpenter, was he Thursday or when? Maybe it was, I don't know. I get mixed up between the two, Wednesday and Thursday. But when he says Jerry arrived with Russell and Kate wasn't with them, I don't take that as a memory thing. That is for sure. I mean, it's just something he remembers and took note of. So I don't question that happened, that rather than the two couples arrive separately, that something was different where Jerry appeared with Russell and Kate and Jane were either at the apartment or stayed in the apartment. So that's my take on it.
Okay, well, I need to get off. So just to let you know, Lizzie, I put the questions that I've been accumulating in the private chat there.
Oh, yes. Look at that. Look at that. Do you know what? I'm so bad. Catalina sent me one the other week.
I know.
And I didn't even see it. I never looked there. I'm so bad. I am so bad at so many things, but I do try. And I guess the trying is what's important.
You do just fine. So those are the questions that I have stacked up so far. That one came in. There's two questions actually. There's one from JD and there's one from Zoey Williams that kind of lumped it all together. But anyway, so
Okay.
what
would I do without you, Shirley? I'm going to find out in the next few minutes, unless everybody's, yeah, well, we'll get it short. Unless Salty wants to come up and ask some other questions on behalf of little Salty as well. Do you want to come up, Salty? It's up to you, because you are. I know that little Salty wants to know some stuff too, and maybe that would be good if you could, pass on what you're thinking.
We'll give her a minute to answer.
Yeah. If not, then I'll probably answer the few questions and give you a rest, because I'm sorry, I do it. I say it all the time, but I absolutely mean it. That, listening to me droning on for so long, it's got to be troublesome. It really does.
No, but see, that's what's great about YouTube. If you start to drone on and people don't want to listen, they can always leave. But there seems to be a lot of people that you call it droning on or going on tangents. They really enjoy it.
Okay.
And just to let you know, Emily and Cat in a Hat have offered to come up too if you want someone else. So not sure what your direction's going to go with this, but just wanted, in case you didn't see those, they've offered to come up too. And I haven't seen Salty reply yet. So okay, so I need to get going. Have a good weekend and a good week, everybody, and we'll see you next week. I'm very excited about next week. Totally excited.
I'll tell him.
Yes, I've got so many general questions. I mean, of course, like you said, he hasn't studied the case, but there's, he doesn't have to study the case. There's so many questions that he can answer from, the dogs, how they're trained, what they find. The other question that I have is false alerts, things like that. How often? Anyway. So anyway, I'm very excited, and I will see you guys all, or talk to you guys next week.
Well, thank you so much there, Shirley. And hope to see you next week.
Yeah.
well, you don't care about me. You just want to see.
That's not true. I was here before he came, so I'm just saying. Now, if you get Mark on, yeah, I probably won't pay you a whole lot of attention. Just not going to do it. So.
Oh. Oh yeah, I haven't even been in contact with Mark lately, but I'd really love if he could come up. Oh, I mean, crikey, he's got the answers to everything that he's studied. Anyway, you've got to go.
Yep. Okay. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. And so then there was one. Now, I don't know. What time is it? I don't like going over the 2 hours, especially now it's just me. So maybe I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to look at the private chat and see what I can't even remember her name. Shirley has left for me. So, Maddie, little Maddie was little Salty was hungry. Oh dear. Okay. Let me go to private chat and I'll say, see, what would I do without Shirley? She's so good. Oh, okay. And Carrie had to leave soon too. Now that was probably a long time ago. Anyway, we will just soldier on. And maybe because I haven't got any help right now, well, apart from the mods, which hopefully there's one there. So let me just look at these questions and then we'll take it from there. So JD, I did have one question. Was it even Maddie's DNA they tested as not found in the apartment 5A? And Jerry had to go to Rothley to get Maddie's DNA. I don't believe that Maddie was in Portugal. And Zoey Williams, why are there hardly any pictures? Don't you take a ton of pictures, especially if your kid's on holiday? I agree. A lot of the pictures look weird for a holiday. Why do you think Maddie was from Carmen? Why do you think Maddie was made a ward of the court by the McCanns? Then Devil's Advocate, why did the McCanns deny rearranging the furniture in Maddie's bedroom? And why was Jerry able to talk to Gordon Brown several times on the phone? Okay, they're the questions that Shirley's left for me. So I'll go down and I think I can say a little bit about them. Now, as far as the DNA not found in the apartment, which is absolutely, totally ridiculous. She had her own bed. Why couldn't they use the pillow or anything from there or whatever? She would have had her own toothbrush, but they claimed they shared the toothbrush. Well, isn't that just handy dandy? And she would have had a hairbrush, and that hairbrush would be the hairbrush that they sent to the African chap that had that special machine that could discover things. I don't know what, but a couple of months later, that was his name, Daniel something. He had a special machine, and they sent him supposedly Maddie's hairbrush. I do have a video showing you that. And he takes a hair of Maddie's hair out. Now, why didn't they pass that hairbrush over? Or was that a plant? Who knows? But the fact that Jerry supposedly had to go back to Rothley to get Madeline's pillow is really, really quite odd. It's just can't be answered. But he did. And I will say that I do believe that the DNA that was found on that pillow was actually Maddie's, and that there was not any question about the difference between Maddie's DNA and the twins. They all share the same alleles or whatever of the parents in different ways, but they were all related, and it was Maddie's as far as we know. You don't believe she was in Portugal. I don't see how that could be possible, because we do actually have pictures of her in Portugal. And yeah, I really can't dispute that. If somebody doesn't believe she was in Portugal, that's your prerogative. But I do believe that she actually was there, certainly until before Tuesday. After Tuesday, I believe she was there, but she was in no capacity to interact or be seen. And that's my thoughts, which I've explained earlier. Why are there hardly any pictures? Don't you take a ton of pictures, especially if your kid's on holiday? And I agree, a lot of the pictures look weird for holiday or old. Well, yeah, and maybe they did take lots of pictures. But was Maddie in them? That's the thing. And maybe at the point that maybe something happened to Maddie, they didn't take pictures for good reason. Now, Diane, who I absolutely believe had no idea of any of this, what happened, I really believe that Diane was just fed information, because she claimed in her statement, well, such and such happened because Dave and Fiona reminded me. You know, like there's a lot of questionable stuff. But I don't believe there's any pictures of Maddie on their camera, apart from the last picture, and the photos that were taken in the wreck area. I don't believe there were any others because she wasn't there, or she wasn't available to have pictures taken, put it that way. I don't know what had happened. Would answer that, would answer why there's no DNA of hers in the apartment after, what, 5 days? 5-6 days, why there's no anything that she made at crafts. It just doesn't, it just fits more with the fact that she wasn't there than it does to say that she did. So why do I think Maddie was made a ward of court by the McCanns? Again, this is an issue that's over and above the timeline issue, which I'm familiar with. So there are other people who can answer that a lot better than I ever could. But in fact, because of the time that's gone on, I'm not even sure I can recollect the exact reasons behind it. I do know it was questionable and there were other issues around it, but yeah, because it wasn't something I was scrutinizing, I wouldn't want to say anything and make any guesses. But certainly it's something that absolutely, when Tony or Peter Mac is on, they'd certainly be able to answer you. And so save that one. Can you say? I'll try and save it, but if I can't, usually Shirley saves it, but she's not here. Yeah, save that one for when Tony or Peter Mac, because that is an important one. I mean, their child is ward of court. Why would you make it a ward of court? So yeah, that's an important one to remember. So, or Shirley, if you're listening, can you remind me, or Carrie? Why did the McCanns deny rearranging the furniture in Madeline's bedroom? I can't specifically recall that they denied rearranging the furniture in a bedroom. But what I can point out is that when the cleaner came in on the Wednesday, apparently the cot was in the parents' bedroom, and she made a note of that. But they totally denied that was the case. So that may be what you're referring to. They totally denied that they had a cot in their bedroom. And yet, who do you want to believe? The cleaner or the McCanns? And if you look at their beds, they're close together. They've been pushed over as if to make room for a cot. No question, so much more was going on than we can really tell. But if there was an issue and she was sick for a while, that might have been the reason. Or, as has been suggested even by Paulo Rebello, who took over from Gonçalo Amaral, apparently he suggested, and taken from Portuguese press, which have been correct in so many. The Sol articles basically came out before the PJ files were released, and everything there was just about there was nothing we were really surprised on when the Portuguese police files came out, because we'd been told by the Portuguese press, who got it pretty much right. They may be anyway. So Paulo Rebello apparently suggested that there were 7 children in one apartment. Now, you might want to add up how many children were there. There was Sean and Emily. There was the Rachel and God, you forgive me, Matt's child was a little baby girl. There was the Payne's 2 girls, and there was the Russell O'Brien and James Tanner 2. Now that makes 7. So where was Maddie? Why was one missing when he claimed there were 7? Why didn't he say 8? Because there should have been 8 children on that holiday, but he only claimed 7. Lots of little things like that, which when you put together start to make you realize that there was something very, very, very wrong. So I don't know. Anyway, let me try here and do Shirley's job and go back. Okay. Okay, somebody, hang on. I keep losing it because I keep touching things I shouldn't be touching. Some people believe the 2 sketches from the Smith family were on the single man. Some people believe it was the Podesta brothers, but there's no known link. And absolutely, Sandy Blue, of course there's no known link, because they took those 2 pictures of the same man. It was just 2 different people's opinions of the same man. And all of a sudden it went crazy. Everybody believing that it was 2 men. And golly, they matched the Podesta brothers. No, it was 1 man. How could 1 man look like the 2 Podesta brothers? I mean, it was just so ridiculous. It took a lot of... I did a video on that because there was just no... People didn't understand. It was 2 pictures of 1 man. They took it as 2 pictures of 2 men. Oh, Emily, you've taken note about the ward of court on your sticky notes. So to remember next week. So Emily's got her pen and pad out and she's making note. Well, she's got her sticky notes. But I should have got you to get your pen and pad out. I guess I didn't. Okay, I think I was going to get someone up, but I think at this point, I think it's time for me just to and take in any last messages. If you can put a star in front, a couple of stars in front, if there's a message that you really want me to answer right now, that would be great, because there's so many here and I can't read them. And then I stop talking and then it sounds like I've disappeared into oblivion. So you can see how important Shirley is to me. I just adore her. She's just so great. So there's something about Carmen says you'll ask another time. Yes, Salty, she was a ward of the court. And look at me, I'm not even pulling them up. Do I not know what I'm doing or not? No, I don't. In fact, today, because Jeff had postponed, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? Okay, we'll just do what we do, and just kind of wing it. And I thought, well, geez, I do that so often. But I had no idea. And you are getting the result of it right now, of me stumbling once Shirley goes, although I could. I mean, obviously I could carry on, but I think you've probably had enough of me for now. I don't care what you say. So without anybody to end with, I will. Is it okay with everybody if I move away for now and we'll get something together for next week with Jeff and Zoey? Do you know what? I'm wondering if Zoey's going to be there with him. Wouldn't that be cute? I just adore her. Just look. I'll give you another look. Hang on. I think I've got another picture of her. So I don't know. Oh, this is Jeff and her in a helicopter. I don't think they flew up in it, but I think that it was there. And here's her in the snow. I know he did send me one picture of her in the snow where they were searching for explosives. and another picture, another little video actually, where she's climbing up this little hill looking for, well, she's not looking for explosives because I think he plays with them beforehand to kind of get them going. I'm not sure. I was relying on him to tell you how it works. But I mean, look at her. I told Jeff I'll be showing pictures of Zoey. We're not gonna worry about him till next week. But yeah, I think that's all. That's most of the ones I've got of Zoey. Such a lovely look at those lovely pictures. Anyway, I'm rambling. So let me have a look. Is there any other major comments that I should deal with? Cult behavior is a very broad stroke. Yeah, I'm not sure if cult behavior is, that can be attributed to that. I think it's, I mean, there were suggestions that they were swingers. May or may not be true. To me, that's irrelevant. That's got nothing to do with it. That's their business, and they can, anybody who does that, they can just carry on. Just look for the pampas grass, apparently. I didn't know about that. But my admin let me know, so that I made sure I didn't put pampas grass in my garden. But anyway, I guess that's it for now. So I will let you go. I want to again thank everybody for being here. I'm really surprised. I really didn't think that too many would be here because of having to cancel or postpone Jeff, and I thought it may look as though there's not going to be a show, or they may not be interested because it was just me. So that will be it for now. So I just want to remind you, now this is worth going to see. This is worth watching. Is tomorrow, when I get rid of this picture, tomorrow, Pat Brown is doing her second live. And let me tell you, especially for some people, this is going to be absolutely great. She is going to profile the Watts case, and she is going to give you her take on the mistress. She's also going to be looking at another case of a father that killed his family. But I think a lot of you are interested in the Watts case, and she is great. I mean, so she's going to be on at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 7 o'clock UK time. We're on a slight time difference right now. We've put our clocks forward for an hour, but UK haven't until the 28th. So there's only 4 hours difference between us. So she's on at 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK. And you can go to, if you want the link, you can either go to Profiler Pat Brown, her channel, or you can go to the video that is just before this, where I've put in a video to promote her live, and it should have the link there. And I used a video from one of our friends, Claire. So I'm going to go out with that video from Claire that she made specially for Pat, because, wow, you're going to love it. So thanks everybody for being here. Thanks, Chris and Kim. Again, thinking of you always. And thanks, Mods, Happy Thoughts, Helen, Happy Thoughts, and everybody else. And hang on, was there another one? I can't remember. See how I need Shirley. So yeah, I'm going to say bye-bye and leave you with this. And I do hope to see you in Pat's live tomorrow afternoon. Profiler Pat Brown, and she's live at 3 p.m. EST, 7 p.m. UK, And to find the video, just go to Profiler Pat Brown, go under videos, and then click uploads, and then look for live streams upcoming, and you'll find the live stream she's on tomorrow. Okay, so bye-bye, everyone, and thank you again. And stay safe. Do stay safe, and hopefully you'll start to get back to normal soon.